Tonight, on this 12th day of the Three Rivers Challenge, I am going to use this beautiful raw milk that was gifted to me to make some farmer's cheese, and then I'm going to eat it with toasted walnuts and some of my own honey from my own bees. I have my bees on my dad's property now. We tried to raise bees on our property the first year we were here, and there's just not enough forage for them. But I tell you what, when I say they went gang busters on my dad's property, that's exactly what I mean. Now hold on a second while I find my measuring spoons. If you look real closely, you can see the flecks of butter in this milk. I hope you can see that. Anyway, it's delicious. So I have here a gallon of whole milk, unpasteurized raw milk. I'm going to put in a pinch of pink Himalayan sea salt. I'm going to put in a little more than a pinch. Then after it boils, I'm going to add a 1/2 to 3/4 teaspoons of this citric acid. I also use this for canning, and it's very easy, and none of my jars of canned goods have ever gone bad using citric acid. So back to the bees. I had them here the first year. They didn't have enough forage. I take them to my dad's. It is just slamming. We got probably 3 to 4 gallons of honey off of those this year, which major win. I'm trying to switch over. Oh well, that dropped. I'm trying to switch over from sugar to honey, and our honey is delicious. We have flow hives, which are so easy and they work so perfectly. And if you want to check out those videos, just go to the Averett Fix and search flow hives, and you can see exactly how they work. I'm going to give this a little time to come up to an almost boil. When the bubbles start to form around the edges, I am to turn it off, put in the citric acid, and wait 10 minutes for it to go into curds. I have never made cheese. My son has made some farmer's cheese before that turned out really well. I've never made cheese, so we'll just see what happens when it gets there. We'll discover all of this together. Okay, I think this is getting very close to coming up to temperature, so I'll tell you a little bit more about the bees. So we go down to harvest the honey. We had all these little wooden strips, and they were just really thin, like maybe 1/8 of an inch, and they're about 12 inches long, like little half rulers. We didn't know what to do with them, so we didn't do anything with them. Didn't Google it, didn't try to figure it out or anything. So when we go down to harvest the honey, we open the back of the flow hive, and there's bees just everywhere on the back of the flow hive. Of course, any video I have ever watched, there's no bees on the back of the flow hive, but we're going to get this honey. So we put in the little pipe, and we crack open the whatever those things are called. It's part of the super, and so we crack open those frames. That's what they're called. And the honey starts flowing. Well, of course, as soon as honey starts flowing, the bees start getting interested. So there's bees like getting around the little opening, and they're getting in the flow of the honey, and they're getting down in the honey, and all this is on video, mind you, and the whole time I'm just like trying to be calm about it. My dad and I are in bee suits. Well, bees start, coming around the back. They start getting agitated. They start chasing my mama into the woods and back to the house. Meanwhile, my dad is just slow and methodical and you know, keeping us cool. Of course, we're both sweating like a mongoose because we know that bees aren't supposed to be falling into the honey, but we just figure we can scoop them out and eat the honey anyway. And so that's what we did. We did exactly that. We just scooped them out and ate the honey anyway. It wasn't going to anybody else. We didn't really even care. And so for the next time, though, we still hadn't figured out what those little wood pieces were for. So we opened the back of it after getting like I think we got 1.75 gallons that first time. So we opened the back of it again in like mid-August. And of course there's bees everywhere. I wouldn't say they're swarming, but there are a lot of bees. And there are hundreds of bees bearded out on the outside because it's really hot. But my dad got this little pipe to, it was like an elbow pipe. And he attached it. And we elbowed it down into the honey jar, and we put saran wrap around it, and that worked perfectly. And then later we found out that those little wood pieces were shims. You're supposed to put them in the back on either side and on the top and the bottom, so the bees can't come through the front to the back while you're trying to, or ever really, but especially while you're trying to harvest the honey. So I thought that was kind of funny that we could have prevented it all if we had just Googled it and found out what those shims were. But like the second time, we probably got 1 gallon and another 1.5 quarts of honey. So those bees, they're just fantastic. And I think that I can attribute it to the fact that they are aggressive. They aren't Italian bees. I really don't know what kind they are. I think maybe they have been mixed with wild bees over the course of their life because they're really aggressive and they're really hardy. And we are really hoping that they make it through the winter so that we can split the hive in spring. So stay tuned for that. All right, it's about to boil. Starting to rise and puff a little bit. You should know if you're about to try this at home, it has been 30 minutes on medium heat. I have been stirring it occasionally to try to prevent it sticking on the bottom. I can feel some of it has stuck on the bottom, so I'm being very gentle not to scrape that up. It's not burned, it's just film. It's a film on the bottom. I got my cheesecloth ready. I've got my colander ready, and it's all in a big bowl because I want to save my whey. Here it is over here. I know that I can either feed that whey to my animals or boil it again with some vinegar and make some ricotta. So here's my bowl with my colander and my cheesecloth. In just a minute, when this is boiled its first bubble, I'm going to put in the citric acid and I'm going to let it sit for 10 minutes, and then we're going to strain it in the cheesecloth and squeeze it and hopefully have some farmer's cheese. All right, about to happen. While we're waiting these last few minutes, full disclosure, my son got stranded on the highway yesterday. I had to go pick him up, and we had a taco at Taco Mama for dinner. Not out of my pantry, not off of my farm, but pretty much unavoidable and also very delicious. My kids have not really embraced the Three Rivers Challenge. We haven't always been homesteaders. We haven't always been farmers. We haven't always been conscientious about what we put into our body. So they didn't grow up like this, and it's kind of a hard sell now. They like to eat what they want to eat, but everything that I have cooked for breakfast has been from the farm. They do their own things for lunch, and everything that I have cooked for dinner has been from the pantry. That includes some packaged foods, of course. We still buy packaged foods, but I haven't bought any new ones except some tortilla chips and some hamburger buns. All right, I see the first bubbles. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat and get my citric acid. I read online that it's a 1/4 teaspoon for every tablespoon of lemon juice that you would use. A regular lemon gives 2 to 3 tablespoons. So I'm going to put just a heaping 1/2 teaspoon in. I'm going to stir that in good. And we're going to wait. I can already see a little coagulation taking place. We're going to wait about 10 minutes. That's what's suggested. I actually have a 1-hour cheese book, but I got it out for one of my daughter's friends to look at, and now I can't find it. So I had to go online and get a recipe. We'll wait a little while. All right, we got 20 seconds. I stuck my finger in it. It is extremely tart. Maybe I put too much citric acid in it, but I plan to eat it with some honey, so maybe that will be a good balance. I want to cut into it so badly, but I'm waiting the full 10 minutes, and there it is. Okay, hush. Let's see what happens. Definitely got whey, and I do have curds, so that is exciting. This is kind of like a ricotta. I read one girl's reaction. She said if it wasn't yellow but white, to put it in and do it all again, but I don't want to do that because I'm hungry. Let's take a little taste. The cheese itself is not sour at all. It must have been just the liquid from the whey that ran through. So that's exciting. It's very delicious. Very delicious. Okay, I'm going to move my bowl over here. And I don't need to add anything else to it. I'm not a big salty fan. It's just enough salt for me. I'll try to strain most of the way in. Come on now. I need another 2 hands, but I don't have them. My whole family is gone on Wednesday nights. That's my night to do what I want to do. Uh-oh, fell in again. I need some clips. Let's see here. I don't have any clips, but now that it's wet, it's kind of staying up, so I think it'll be okay. There is an awful lot of milk or whey left over. Maybe I'll run it through again. Do it again with a little more citric acid, but for right now, I'm going to gather this up. I'm going to let it drain, and I'll let you know how it turns out here in just a few minutes.